that little image of one red house. We're on.
You're on.
And we're on, and we're ready. It only took 21 days into the 2025 year to get on, but here we are. We're on. We're ripping it.
Been a long time since I've seen you.
Show everyone your beard.
Huh?
Show that beard.
Oh, come on. Everybody's seen it before.
Hey.
I'm here all the time.
I know. It'd be weird if I came back with a beard. Huh?
I know. It makes my wife hates it.
I think it's great.
Makes me look a lot older,
It's
I
like,
think.
you know, girls get haircuts and, you know, new eyebrows and things like that.
Yep.
You can do the,
Yeah, I mean, I'll be 60, and it's taken me, I started growing this beginning of October, so you can see the French-Canadian blood in me. I can't grow a beard.
I thought you were going to say you started when you were 55.
No, my son can grow up. My kid can be clean-shaven and look like Conor McGregor in a week.
Okay.
It's just nuts, yeah.
Like the Grinch.
Yeah, how you been?
Grinch. Good.
Good.
Yeah, just milling our way through 2025. What a time. What a time. Holy cow. We could do a whole show on the last... I saw a meme the other day. I was like, whoa, what a year.
I know. What a year is right.
Literally been like 3 weeks. So here we are.
All right.
It's been crazy, but glad to be back. Glad to be here. I have a full list of guests coming up for 2025. I've had people reach out to me to say, hey, can I get on the show? And who am I to say no?
Right.
And then I don't know if you know, we've got Giving Hearts Day coming up. So
Yes,
that's
I
usually
do.
a fun and exciting and popular time to be on. So I've got some great guests coming up. So stay tuned, stay in the loop. All kinds of good things happening.
The 13th.
Yes, sir. The 13th is Giving Hearts Day.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's very cool. So yeah, I don't know, did you, if everybody that's ever done anything with Giving Hearts, you got that email where it was like, it's open. Oh my gosh. So start planning, but we'll have some folks in here to talk about that and some of our cool nonprofits. But so I have a guest today, so let me get through all the jibber jabber that I need to. My name's Courtney Barstead Logan. I'm a realtor here in the Grand Cities. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. With eXp Realty, you can find me on social media at Grand Cities Living. You can find replays of this show on YouTube, on your favorite podcast streaming apps. App Put a Fork in it. And you can always just find me wandering around the Grand Cities, even when it's, today, minus 13 and then with wind chill maybe 27?
You actually wandered in weather like this today?
Yeah, you got to wander.
Oh,
you know, got some coffee
more like
dates.
you got to wonder why there's goofy people wandering in weather like this.
Inspections and things like that. So life goes on, Life goes on. So.
I didn't leave my house yesterday except to walk to my neighbors. I was supposed to go to Fargo. That got canceled because my truck wouldn't start right away in the morning, but did today, so I don't know.
Why'd you walk to the neighbors? You live in the country. It's not like you went next door for milk.
There's three of us that live in there, so I can, their house is from here to the vacuum place away from mine.
Okay. Sometimes that's how like a bad story starts. He wandered over.
I had a long rope.
Okay.
No, they're watching my dogs. I'm leaving tomorrow for vacation, so they're going to watch my dogs. So we went and take care of some stuff. Yeah.
You went to do the chit chat.
There you go. Yep.
Okay. Speaking of the dogs, when it's this cold, I was just telling my 5-year-old last night, like, did you know that some people leave their dogs out in this? And he was just shocked by that. So make sure, I've been seeing the ticker. I was watching all the festivities yesterday, starting with the inauguration and then on to I cheer for Notre Dame and they ended up losing my sadness. But all the ticker was like, check on your elderly neighbors. And you're like, but keep an eye on those dogs too. They don't have Facebook to be like, I'm cold.
Right. My one dog, my corgi, seizes up out in this stuff. His feet get so cold.
Yeah.
But my Labradoodle loves it.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I know. Our part husky thinks it's like the coolest thing ever.
They'll lay out there like, oh, this is awesome.
Such a dork. Yeah, he's such a dork. So that is the good stuff. And then if you find anything I say today questionable, feel free to email my broker or find her online at exprealty.com. So all the fun stuff. So this morning, I am joined by Kris Moen with Nodak Insurance. Welcome.
Give him a round of applause, too.
Yes, thank you for having me, guys.
I think I put on the thing Nodak Mutual. Why did I put Nodak Mutual?
We used to be a mutual company. We're no longer a mutual company.
They're not mutual.
So.
Nothing's mutual.
Nothing's mutual.
Okay,
Just
so
Nodak
just insurance.
Company.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably
all
a
right.
violation.
Yeah,
Put
yeah.
that on there.
The whole song lyric thing now is goopy.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, well.
I was used to
Oh,
watching
well.
that. Yeah, on Class B basketball,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, all the insurance. So Kris, I hit him up a few weeks ago. We were talking about stuff because insurance has been it's a pain in my rear, and it's good to have good people to have conversations with. But when the California fires came up, there was a lot of conversation, especially in the real estate world. And so I said, hey, can you come on and talk about some of this? Because there's been some huge changes in home insurance, but also, I mean, in general, right? And so you do it all. So first, let's let you introduce yourself. How long you been doing this, company you're with, and all the services that you offer.
Yeah, so like they said before, my name's Kris Moen. I represent Nodak Insurance Company. I service Grand Forks County along with Nelson County, so I've got 2 offices. I've been in business since 2017, so yeah, about 8 years now, it seems like. My goodness.
Yeah, woof.
I've aged a lot in those 8 years. But
There's been a lot of insurance, between real estate and insurance, I think there's been a lot of aging things.
yes,
Yeah,
I think
okay,
it is.
yeah.
Yes. The meme is always the great one with the old person that says, oh, I've only been doing,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And I'm
Yeah, here I
some
am.
75-year-old guy, and it says, I've been doing insurance for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I feel great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm already 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years. And I guess our companies, we offer pretty much the whole gamut. We offer we basically, our company started as a farm company in North Dakota. It was the Farm Bureau that started us back in the 40s. It was just a bunch of farmers that got together and said, hey, we got to figure out how to cover our barns and our outbuildings and whatnot. And it's really grown into an all service company for North Dakota residents. So it's from whether it's farm, home, auto, small business, life insurance, health insurance. We do our health insurance, the Blue Cross Blue Shield primarily, and then we also have another product that we have. And if basically, like I tell people, if you can think of it, we can find a place for it.
You can figure it out.
Yeah.
So a big conversation happening, I know, in the real estate world, and this was before the fires hit in California, was roofing conversations. And so that's a huge thing that we're having conversations about across the nation. And I've been talking to a lot of my buyers and sellers about that. But mainly there has been some restrictions on what's covered, what's not. Have you seen that conversation come up with people, and do people know about it? It seems like
people generally aren't aware of it, because when I talk to people and you ask them how old their roof is, if they know that, I just got shingles put on last year, or if they're purchasing a house, they might not know the roof year because they don't have the paperwork on it. Or people are like, well, they're 30-year shingles, they're good forever. Well, generally after a certain amount of years from the initial placement, it's going to start going into a actual cash value payout schedule. So the older your roof, the less of a payout you're going to get. And it wouldn't surprise me that at some point down the road, if all roofs just go to actual cash value, because I'm not speaking for anybody on that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
so
no, it's
when you look at it as a whole, generally our losses are wind, and especially in North Dakota, you're looking at wind and hail losses, right? I mean, we've got no trees here, nothing but wind, and we have the occasional hailstorm. So a lion's share of our losses are due to wind and hail. So that's where the roof conversation comes in, where if people don't get, and I'm sure on a buyer's side of it too, like if they've got old shingles on there, you're going to want to make sure that the seller replaces those prior, because it's going to affect their insurance in one way or the other. So,
and a big thing we ran into before the holiday break is Fannie and Freddie. So what is happening is these secondary market, and folks, I am not the mortgage person, so but the secondary market loans that are serviced by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is saying you need to have full replacement value on these on the roof, where a lot of insurance companies are saying we don't it's not something that we do for a 20-year roof. I'll put myself out there. I have a 10-year roof. It's actual cash value. I don't expect to get a full replacement on a used roof, right? You don't get a used car and then you get a brand new car or something, So there's a conversation there where what does that look like? Because insurance companies, rightfully so, we're kind of taking the hit on a lot of this, right?
Exactly. And, every company has their own guidelines in regards to roof age. Some have 10, some have 15, some go up to 20 for offering replacement costs on on a roof loss. But generally, after that 15 to 20 year age, it's going to be paid out on an actual cash value basis, which the lenders aren't going to like.
Yep.
Which is, and I would see that, essentially you guys rewriting your contract saying, hey, you got to get that roof redone. Otherwise, the mortgage company is going to take the loan because they're not going to offer that full replacement cost on the roof.
Right. So. And that's a world of difference for, if a roof's going to cost $30,000, the seller's going to say, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw that back on the market. And so it's that bigger conversation that real estate agents need to be having with their clients to say, you're still getting coverage. You're still getting coverage on your home.
Correct.
You're just not getting a brand new roof if something was to happen because you have a 15-year roof. You're getting at the actual what it would cost to replace at that point. And I think it's just being reasonable because we have been given maybe a little bit more of that leniency, with it. And so a big conversation there. I think kind of shifting that then, a huge conversation of companies pulling out of certain areas. And so we saw that in LA with the California fires. You saw certain companies being called out where they said, we're done. We're not covering, certain things here. Is that a conversation that you're seeing in other areas? I know you're in Grand Forks, but you keep up on all this.
Yeah, so I read up a lot on just what's going on in North Dakota, what's going all around the country. So I write for one company. We do have a brokerage that we can work through in kind of special scenarios, but we get a lot of phone calls saying, hey, I think there was, I want to say 3 or 4 companies that have pulled out of North Dakota in the last 1 or 2 years, even. So even in North Dakota, it's obviously it's a bigger spectrum over on the California side, but it's happening just because the losses are out. They're out doing essentially what people are paying in on premiums.
Yeah, you could see like out there, okay, we're not going to do any more controlled burns. We're not going to do anything like that. Here it would be like saying, okay, no flood walls, no dikes, no nothing. Okay, no flood insurance. You got to kind of play with what the government gives you and what each state gives you, I guess, too.
Yep.
Yeah, and these insurance companies, they have, as the agent, we sell and service the policies. We can explain the coverages. Every insurance company, they've got actuarials, and these guys could look into this stuff and they can see the risk. That's why you saw these big pullouts. I think it was in 2017 in California, along with 2022 in California. A lot of these big name companies were pulling out because when the actuarials were running this data, they're like, something's bound to happen here.
Yeah.
That's really what
all the fixins.
What it boils down to. And with that being said, these families in California were limited to who they could get insurance coverage with. And whoever they're going to get their coverage with, well, if they're going to stay in the state, they got to jack their premiums up too.
Expensive, yeah.
So it's, you see the stuff on the news, they want to blame the insurance companies on it. There's there's 10 different arguments on it, but there's a reason that companies do pull out of specific states just because they see the data, they see the losses, they see the potential risk on it, and they'll just either put a moratorium, say, hey, we're not going to take any new business on for X amount of years or until everything kind of levels out, or we're just going to completely pull out. So,
and I think it's people check the box, right? They just say like, my neighbor John does this, I'm just gonna have him do it. I'm just gonna, we'll do the insurance. And it's be an advocate for yourself. Just like we say, when you go to the doctor, be an advocate for yourself, educate yourself. Because I remember it was 2019, Kris, was it that fall where we had that heavy rain?
Oh, yes.
First time my house ever flooded. And it was in September.
100%. And so it was, I had a bunch of new coaches who had just moved here working with you. And it was, all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, like people had water and there were different things. And people were like, there was just rave reviews on, Nodak was coming in and these are the things that are happening. And other people were like, I didn't know, I didn't have that coverage. I didn't, we had to do certain things. And it's having those key things where you go in and say, okay, I'm shopping for my homeowner's insurance. What are the things I need to know here? What are those, add-ons that I need to have? Because as unsexy as insurance is, it really comes to what is that piece of it? And it is very affordable when you look at what it could cost you.
Exactly. So when it comes to additional endorsements or coverages and whatnot, I never not add on sump pump coverage.
Yeah.
Just because including obviously we had those floods. Flood is a completely different ballgame. It's a federal program. That's through FEMA. You can purchase flood insurance, but the government's got a definition of a flood and it has to qualify as a flood. So, but the water backup and the sump pump overflow, we see a lot of those in the Red River Valley, just because whether there's a nasty storm and you're out of town for the weekend, there's a power outage, sump pump goes out.
Yeah, that's all it takes is a power outage.
Yeah,
you know,
and then all of a sudden you come and you got an inch of water in your basement.
And you don't want the poo floaties.
No, and that was funny because my house, I didn't live there in '97, but it barely just got just a little bit, but the basement wasn't finished. So I finished my basement, all brand new carpet, brand new everything. We were in Alaska and come home and there's 3 inches of water in my basement floor. First time ever. And so my sump pump had failed.
Yeah.
But then I ended up putting another outside sump pump in, and it's never ran one time since I've put it in. But that's not a bad problem.
Right,
No.
exactly.
You know?
Yep.
And it's that conversation, I think. I always tell people, if you see that there had been water in a basement, don't totally freak out, because they're disclosing that. But also, what did they do to mitigate it, and what did that look like? Because I would say, if driving around town after that big one in 2019, then we had it in the spring, I think it was again, and and it was like, how did they fix it? What happened? What's the things that are there? Because so many houses got hit by that. But you could tell when people were like, hey, we had really good insurance coverage. Here's what's happening. And it was like they had those steps in place, to be able to do that.
And let's face it, Grand Forks notoriously has water.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you drive through almost any residential area in Grand Forks, you'll see the blue, hoses coming out into the street, but so that's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And a lot of people that aren't from around here that move here will see that and like it's a turn. Oh, geez, we can't. Well, good luck finding a place that doesn't have a sump pump.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, I think it's great if you do. It's awesome. But yeah, I think it's that conversation. I had another client one time. They moved here, and I sent them some insurance information. They called me and they asked. They were like, "What kind of business is this guy running? Because like these numbers don't even make sense. Like this is a great deal." And I was like, "Yeah, just make sure it's check your stuff, because I think people just check the box. I'm gonna I'll call my whoever and see what's going on." And I think going through that review, and I think that's what the biggest point I wanted to make today is sit down and have that conversation. And if you haven't talked to your insurance agent since you signed up 20 years ago or whatever, see what's going on, see what's covered, what's not, what does your roof coverage look like, just having some of that stuff, because you also find yourself where somebody's been with a company for a really long time and they're way overpaying for the things that they aren't even getting, right? So I'm sure you see that a lot. Someone comes and says, "Can you look over my, my insurance?"
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And another thing, obviously you want to make sure, we try to make sure there's no gaps in coverage, and we explain, here's what we suggest. Obviously it's up to the insured to see if they want to decide with that coverage. But one of the big things now is replacement cost on homes. So, you've got people that have signed up 5-10 years ago, say their house was, the replacement value was $200,000 then. Well, it's a lot more now.
Yep.
So it's most insurance policies have what they call like an inflation guard built into it. So you're going to see that number kind of creep up a little bit every year, but sometimes it doesn't really catch up to where it should be. So it's always good to have a review to see, hey, is my house insured for what it should be insured for? Now, like I tell people, it's going to come with more premium because you're going to be insuring the house for more. But then that's where we talk about deductibles and whatnot, because insurance is not a maintenance plan. It's a catastrophe plan, and the little, $500 claims and stuff like that, you try to talk people out of filing them just because, well, you're going to see a rate in your premium. And so I always... Whenever somebody calls with a claim, we kind of go over it, kind of see what the situation is, have them get some estimates to see if it's worth filing. But yeah, I think the replacement cost on the buildings is a very, very important thing that we've been really focusing on right now.
Yeah.
So.
And boats.
And boats. Yes.
It's funny. My insurance on my house, it's my house insurance and boat
Yeah.
are on the same
Yeah.
insurance.
Well, and that's,
So-
you save if you bundle your car with it and, and having that
Yep.
stuff in there. The other one that I want to talk about is a hot topic in my house right now. If people are friends with me on Facebook, they saw my question come up in, what was it, the week of Thanksgiving. So we are off of UND's insurance soon, and Kris had reached out and said, hey, we've got this because, newsflash, folks, if you are used to an employer-sponsored insurance or anything like that, the world of health insurance is no joke, right?
Yes,
It is the Matrix.
If you think that, if you think that your home and auto insurance just going through a policy is confusing, and sit down and look over a health insurance policy. And what I found, I kind of make the joke is, once you get to Medicare age and whatnot, it makes it even more confusing for people. And I said, this is a confusing subject as it is. Why are you making this more confusing the older you get?
The worst. It is the worst. And that, I put kind of the all call out, and it was great because there were a lot of people like, oh gosh, been there. Here's what we recommend. And it's confusing. It is so confusing. And so Kris was so great to say, hey, here's a program that we offer, test it out and see. And, there's certain things we didn't qualify for, with some companies and different things we didn't know. We don't know. We don't know, right? That's not our area. And so you offer insurance through the North Dakota Farm Bureau.
Yes.
And you can,
so
you can explain it way better than me.
Yeah. So we just rolled this out. So in the United States, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think there's about 25 what they call Farm Bureau states that offer Farm Bureau insurance. This health plan that they rolled out is, I think we're the sixth Farm Bureau state that's offered this. So it's a little bit different because it's not guaranteed coverage. Like, you pay higher premiums with your Blue Cross and your United Health because obviously it's guaranteed coverage, right? So what I call this is essentially health insurance for healthier people because it's underwritten. So, you love that word.
And they take their time.
And they take their time. And well, you're more than familiar with what underwriters like to do. So
Dun, dun, dun. The Grim Reapers.
yes. But they look at your health history. There's a couple hoops you got to jump through in regards to, if you've had like a lipid test in the past year and a physical and whatnot, they would take that. They just kind of assess the risk on there, and they, if you do qualify, the rates would come in a little bit cheaper than what say your Blue Cross or United Health. The nice thing about it is, so it's called the North Dakota Farm Bureau plan, but the coverage is actually through United Healthcare. So it's not like when it first came out, we're like, come on, we're just going to offer our own insurance. Like how is this? But it's actually it's a legitimate United Healthcare Choice Plus plan, I believe is what it's called. So once you get if you get accepted into the plan, then you essentially have United Healthcare for your provider. So.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like we're joining as a member of the Farm Bureau. So we joined the Farm Bureau.
Yep.
I feel like a farmer now.
Yep.
But we're getting that group health with them if we qualify.
Basically, yes. Yeah. Basically what it is. And they can, what they do is they if there are specific conditions and whatnot, just to keep premiums down, they can say, hey, we're going to exclude this for so many
your
years.
Elbow or your
So we've seen some of those. Some people are concerned about it. Some people are like, whatever. I had a prescription for this like 5 years ago. I'm
not worried about it.
Not worried about it.
Yeah.
So, but so it's like I say, it's health insurance for healthier people, and if you do qualify, it does help. If you want to go, like I say, if you qualify and you want to go through the rigmarole of the membership and whatever they ask for, the application is it is a tedious one.
It's I was doing it. I was like, sat my husband. I was like, sit down. We got to do this application. Like, tell me your stats and your vitals and all, whatever. And we got it in. I think the biggest thing is, everybody. It was funny because a lot of people are like, oh, well, just Cobra. And if you're with a big employer or you have like Cobra is very expensive, and so everybody, it's funny because everyone's like, oh, you're fine, just Cobra, and it's like, do you understand how expensive a Cobra really actually is? Like, yes, it's guaranteed to you that you can
correct
for a very sizable price. So you've now lost your job, and then we'd like to offer you insurance at a premium price.
Yes. And generally, if you do go onto a Cobra plan, even if you were to go to, say, Blue Cross or whomever, the premiums just on an individual or a family plan on their own are generally less than what the Cobra is going to offer. I don't know why they set it up that way, but it's just from what we've seen, you know, we only write with Blue Cross with the exception of the Farm Bureau stuff, but generally we've seen the Cobra be a little bit more affordable than, or I'm sorry, reverse that. The individual. Can we rewind that, John?
Edit. Cobra, not affordable.
Cobra. Yes, generally the individual plans are more affordable than the Cobra plans.
Yeah.
So,
and that, you know, the conversation too. We started talking about this, you know, probably in November, December. We're getting our stuff in. All of December, we're we're almost done with January. We're still in underwriting. And I think that's something too that people think, well, just grab an insurance. Like, it's a process. And so you aren't guaranteed, you know, and you're not guaranteed, but it's not something like you call and say, I didn't want my homeowner's insurance. You know, if you are, and this is just a friendly reminder, people, if you were to lose your job, that's a conversation I highly recommend having, like, on day 2 and, you know, and having, you know, good people that you can reach out to say, what does this look like? Kris and his wife had a call with me, and she's got some healthcare background.
Yes,
you know,
she's my health insurance guru.
Yes.
She got her health license. She's worked in the industry, not the health insurance industry, but she's worked in the medical industry, whether it's as a nurse, a manager, and in the admin role. So she's seen it all. She's seen it all.
Yeah.
So she's very good at explaining this stuff, and she's looking everything up to make sure that there's adequate coverage for everything. So,
and that's, you know, that's the conversation we had with a lot of people. Is I said, I'm not looking for the coupon discount because I don't want to be like, oh gosh, shoot, your son got stitches. We don't cover stitches because you didn't check that box. We want that good coverage, but we also want to make sure we know what it is. And so that was some of my conversations. It said, you know, certain things are covered at a certain amount, and I was like, I don't know what our prices are because, again, newsflash, our health industry doesn't have a menu of services, right? So they could have that, right, where it would say like blood draw.
I just have my wife stitch me up at the kitchen table.
See? Yes.
I've seen her do it to our kids. So
I was just going to say, you and Kris have that opportunity, right?
Yeah. I mean, she was a medic in the Air Force for 12 years, so she can stitch me up.
Yeah. That's actually funny you just brought that up. So my wife is in the process of, she's in NP school right now, and she was ordering some, of course, we get stuff from Amazon in the mail all the time. And so I get home and I open up the boxes and I open up this package. It's a suture kit. I'm like, oh, Lord.
What are we doing?
I'm like, what is this all about? But she needs it for her clinicals. I'm like, you are not practicing.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was like, we got kids. It was on sale.
It's like, take a shot and bite on this and shut up.
Hey, let's see how we end up here.
I know. Well, and that might be it too. Like if they did, you know, if you went onto Altru's website and they were like, here's your menu of how much everything's going to cost, you know, you might see a little bit more of that, right? Like just slap a Band-Aid on it. And call it.
Well, that's like if I've ever had stitches removed, you know, with the little kit, you get the tweezer and the little scissor. I'm like, I want that. And they're like, what? Well, I paid for it, right? Because you're going to throw it in the garbage, right? Yeah. I want it.
Oh,
and those little scissors and tweezers, I mean, they come in awfully, they come in handy, you know?
Listen, we raided that whole room after we had our son. So
oh, I bet.
I was like, give me all the wipes, the diapers. And they're like, I don't care. What else you got in here, you know? I'm going to get charged for it. So, bring it in. Bring it in. Awesome. And then I think one of the you do a lot of, you do the auto, you do all the things. I'm hitting on the hot topics, but also the life insurance. I think that's something too that people have coverage potentially through their employer. That's something that they offer. Additional news flash, like that doesn't carry over always.
Correct.
And so what I'm hearing from a lot of people is that they are highly underinsured in terms of life insurance. Again, not a sexy insurance to talk about.
No.
But I know we had a plan when I was a child taken out on me from my grandparents. It's something I carry even to this day. And so quick talk about that a little bit of how people do the life insurance, you know, on everybody in their family. What is that conversation like for you?
Well, really what we do is I always talk to it with new home buyers because obviously they've got debt right away. You know, it will kind of drill down and see if they're comfortable, like what kind of debts and liabilities do you have now? What are your plans? Do you want to put your kids through college? do you want to pass something down to a specific charity organization? Some people like to do that. But really trying to figure out how much you need in coverage is the first step. And another thing about group plans is with group plans, generally you're covered for, say, 1 times your salary. I think you can buy up to 2 times or 3 times your salary. However, essentially what that, let's just throw an example out here. Let's just say your salary is $100,000 a year and you buy up to that 2 times coverage. So you got $200,000 in coverage. Well, if something were to happen while you're on the job or while you're working at this employer, that $200,000 will be paid to your beneficiary. However, only $50,000 of that is non-taxable. So
Oh.
your beneficiary is going to
Pay
be
tax.
going to get 1099 on that $150,000 as opposed to buying just through a private company in your own
Sure.
life insurance policy. Because I mean, life insurance is
Sure.
it's tax-free income for your beneficiary, for whoever it goes to. But the group plans, a lot of them have that caveat in there where it's essentially the first 50, the first 50
Yeah.
is free, and then
Yeah.
your family's stuck paying taxes on whatever's left over on it. So.
Sure. Try to bury you in that.
Got to get you one way or another.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know,
always.
they just, maybe that'll change. Maybe that'll
Always.
change.
Yeah,
now.
you never know.
Well, yeah. There's a lot with it and that's, you have to have the right people to have conversations with. And I think, we don't have these conversations. I hate having them. Taxes, insurance, investments, makes me all want to throw up. Let's just sell houses.
And too many people, like with you selling houses, you with insurance can just go, okay, I need it. Let's just do it. Ask the questions.
Ask
Like
the
you say, is there a such thing as a dumb question? I
No.
mean, you'd be surprised people what you would learn
Yep.
if you just ask a few questions.
Yes. And I'll throw this out there. The other day I was reading a homeowner's disclosure, and they had put what they said, I think, for the roof for the shingle age. It's pretty easy, folks. You just go to the county website. You can pull up when the last permit was pulled and when the shingles were replaced. And so hopefully a good realtor would tell you that.
If you live in the city.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's
Right.
the thing. I'm glad they updated that because I know we were running into that where it's like, well, when is your roof done? Well,
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They look pretty new.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I know.
it's-
I'm like a Dateline investigator. I'm like, it takes me about 2 seconds to figure out how old that roof is because there's a lot of question marks on those things. And
Yep.
so just look it up yourself. There's a lot of things, but be an advocate for yourself.
Absolutely.
And if it's you buying, a certain thing, look it up, ask those questions. And it's okay, even if you don't know some of this stuff. I don't know half of the insurance stuff, but I had a lot of questions for Kris just to make sure I was doing my due diligence because, again, we want to make sure that we're covered and that everybody's got that information because it's no fun to get hit with those bills and then realize, oh, I didn't ask for something that I should have. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So anything else? Is there anything else fun and exciting in the insurance world that we
Fun
should
and
know?
exciting in insurance. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly
yeah.
what
You
that
want to talk about
is.
taxes next?
That's the perfect one
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
No, nothing exciting. Obviously, with the California wildfires, we have had people ask in regards to, well, what's going to happen out in this neck of the woods. I don't have a crystal ball, but what's really taking the hit with those big wildfires is reinsurance. So what reinsurance is essentially it's insurance for the insurance companies. And I don't know what our company pays, but what a company pays in premiums for that is tens of millions of dollars for this additional coverage. So as reinsurance prices go up, obviously these other insurance companies are going to have to absorb that by increasing premiums. Is it going to, depending on the company, you never know. I mean, it's that would be the biggest issue to see, like, well, what's going to, eventually it's going to trickle nationwide between what happened out with the hurricanes and happened on the West Coast too. So that's another thing that's been brought up. So
Yeah. And I think, looking at an average, again, just kind of an average of what I'm seeing, people are paying $2,000 annually on theirs. I've been hearing from friends in Florida, they're paying $30,000 for their homeowner's insurance. And so when you look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, because no, do I like paying that? No, but $30,000,
Right.
and you're also not given certain things, with that. It's a conversation that you need to be looking at and,
absolutely.
and chatting about. So, yeah, have that conversation. If you don't have anyone to talk to, please reach out to folks like Kris, who would love to even just review what you've got.
Yeah, whether you're with me or not, just give me a call, 757-1613. I have an office in Grand Forks here. I'm also out in Lakota, so however far we're listening in North Dakota, I can certainly help you out. So.
Yep, and have that conversation. Even just do a review on it. So nice to be able to do that. And you can say, hey, I'm saving and I'm getting more coverage, or whatever that might be. So great time to do that as we enter the new year.
Yes.
New year, new you, right?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was waiting
Nope.
for you.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't see any questions pop up, but if anyone has any questions or wants to reach out to Kris and missed that, please let me know. I'd be happy to connect you.
Tom does say, nice to catch you live again.
Tim, good morning.
Or Tim.
Tim. Yeah, Tim. Tim is in Michigan now. He was one of the Harley Owners group members from
sure.
CMN.
Yep,
So,
yep.
we used to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network together. Yep. So, John remembers that. So,
Yes, I do.
Tim, we're freezing our arses off here. So, I hope
we are.
Yeah, I hope you're enjoying life in Michigan now. So,
Like having Long Johns on in this studio. Oh, my goodness.
yeah.
Anyway.
I'm not even sweating today because it's so cold out, but
I
this
know.
light is really helping. So,
Yeah.
I'm feeling real good about it. So, awesome. Well, thanks again for coming in, Kris. Really appreciate it. And folks, make sure with everything you do today, don't freeze and put a fork in it.